At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too, because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Caught me mid-sip there. Good morning, everyone. Hope you're having a good Friday, good start to your day. It's a nice, cool start to the day as well. So yeah, we got someone on their bike, we got someone jogging on the Sundial Bridge, and looks like just a gorgeous morning to be out there recreating, if you will. We take a look right now at Elk Country this morning. Looks like we do have some low clouds, maybe even a little bit of fog developing in that area as well. I'm going to see if we can get the sunset camera set up here for Crescent City, just to kind of show what we got going on over there. And it does look like we indeed do have some clouds out there this morning. There might even be a little bit of drizzle for parts of the coast this morning, but just the typical low clouds, overcast, foggy conditions that you tend to see along the coast here. But still, always a beautiful area. I always love looking out at the water here. So kind of a nice start to the day, I think, for pretty much everyone. Good morning, everyone. How are you doing out there this morning? It is Friday. We are getting ready for the weekend, so it looks like we got some cooler weather to kind of wrap up the week. Should be a lot nicer out there, and I should probably shave too, but it's Friday. It's Friday, so I don't typically shave a whole lot on Fridays, or the weekends for that matter. Well, for those of you that are just checking in and want to know what's going on with the weather here for today, well, let's get you right to it. On your Friday, September 5th, your Krueger's Quickcast. Now, it's going to be cooler going into the weekend. We got a taste of fall next week. Temperature is getting much cooler. We got the potential for more mountain thunderstorms here, possibly even this weekend too. We'll talk about that in a little bit more detail a little bit later, but in particular as we go into next week, and the valley may see some shower activity as well. More on that a little bit later. But out the door this morning, well, here you go. We got a cool start to the day. Temperatures in the low to mid 60s for the valley, mid to upper 50s for pretty much everywhere else, with the exception of the eastern mountains, into the low 60s and mainly clear skies. Now, we do have a swirling area of low pressure over the Gulf of Alaska. To the south and east of that, just to our west, is a batch of clouds and a bit of a spin as well. Very weak disturbance that will have an impact on our weather, most likely even over the weekend. Cooler temperatures, maybe some showers. Now, I find this interesting. I saw the National Weather Service actually issue this last night. It's a red flag warning here for your Friday today. Now, it is for Modoc County, but honestly, where the areas are shaded in red, those are actually the chances, the smallest chances of seeing thunderstorms today. The area not shaded in red for Modoc County, ironically enough, that's where we have the best chance for thunderstorms. And that, honestly, is where I think the red flag warning should be, because that's where I think most of the activity will be, is east of Highway 395. Let's show you that on the HRRR forecast model. So as we take you through midday, here's midday, there you can see, nothing going on just yet. Take you into the afternoon. Look at this. Now, most of the thunderstorms look to be in Nevada and southeastern Oregon. based on the HRRR forecast model, nothing. But we are seeing the clouds developing. It's too close for comfort. You kind of reach that point where you're like, all right, you know what? There may be a stray thunderstorm here east of Highway 395, as actually I've been talking about and mentioning pretty much the last several days. But everywhere else will be dry. We're still going to see some of that fog out there along the coast. And then, of course, it's dry as we go into tonight. However, I am seeing some signs that parts of Lassen, Plumas, and even eastern Modoc County late tonight, early tomorrow morning could see some activity as well. We'll get into that a little bit later too. All right, temperatures in the upper 80s, low 90s today for the valley, 80s and even some 90s for the higher elevations with low to mid 60s for the coast. Tonight, we're dropping down to around 60. It's going to be a nice coolish start to the morning with 45 degrees for Alturas tonight, 55 for Weaverville, and mid 50s for the coast throughout the night tonight. All right, let's take a look at your 7-day forecast, and temperatures just continue to drop. We're down to about mid 80s by Sunday, low 80s by Monday, Tuesday, and notice I've got the word chance in there for Tuesday. We're going to talk about more detail, the chances for rain for everybody, starting Monday. Monday is the day it all starts, right? The forecast model has been all over the place with how much rain we're going to see, when it's going to start, who's going to see it, who's not going to see it. And so that gets tricky, right, when we look out 4 or 5 days from now. But we're going to have to take a look at that because some of you probably have plans. So you can see the potential for thunderstorms. And look at this. Tomorrow, Siskiyou County, Siskiyou, but also Trinity County, as you see there in Weaverville, could see a chance tomorrow. That's also the case for Siskiyou County, Mount Shasta on Saturday, but everywhere else dry, right? And there's today with Alturas. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Siskiyou County could see a chance for thunderstorms. Don't be deterred, but don't look at that and go, oh my goodness, it's going to be a ton of lightning strikes. Not necessarily. It's just the chance for thunderstorms is out there. And then it looks like for Modoc County, Eastern Mountains, it'll be mainly Tuesday, Wednesday, and then maybe lingering into Thursday for Susanville, but I think most of that will be southward into Plumas County. All right, that is a look at your Krueger's Quickcast. Now let's take a look at what's going on with the fires. And before we get to all of this, we of course got that red flag warning I was telling you about. We're going to take a look at a loop of last night and this morning. And we actually see the top of that circle? That is the, I'm spacing again. The second your brain shuts off, you try to turn it back on, it says, no, I'm not going to turn it back on. The blue fire. Come on, dude. Seriously. You've been talking about the blue fire for all week long. All right. So anyway, the blue fire at the top of that yellow circle, look at it flare up last night. Look at that. Quite a flare up indeed. So it'll be interesting to hear what the firefighters have to say about that because that happened before any report that they gave last night. But it really flared up, folks. And then, of course, you've got the Dillon fire on the left side of that yellow circle. Looks like that flared up a little bit last night as well, so we saw some recent activity there. And at the bottom of that circle, kind of close to the bottom of that circle, you've got the log fire, and that looks to also show a little bit of a flare up last night as well. But again, the big one was the blue fire. That's where we saw the bulk of any of that activity here. All right, well, let's take you to full screen here now, and we're going to show you that red flag warning. Now, this is something, I want to mention. I find this kind of interesting. So where I think most of the thunderstorms in Modoc County will be, if we even see any, it's been kind of going back and forth here. And I've been saying this the last 2 days. Here's Highway 395. If we see anything, that's where it's going to be. I think for the most part, everywhere else in Modoc County will be dry and thunderstorm free. But I think what the Weather Service does is, even if it's within that vicinity, they just want to cover all of their bases. That being said, I'd like to see this area shaded in red because that is where we're going to see the best chances for thunderstorms. So that's the red flag warning in effect through Friday. Looks like my computer is not activated for some reason, so let's get you going here. Is it working now? No, of course it's not. Of course it's not, my friends. So we'll just go ahead and have to kind of wing it here. There we go. Now it should have this. Next map, please. Next map. Seriously? What's going on here? That's weird. Let me see here. I'm going to go back over here and see if the space bar works. The space bar doesn't even work either. Oh, It did. Okay, I know what's happening. This is, okay, so I'm going to take you back to this map right here. I'll have to just be patient, and we'll kind of have to get through it together. All right, so when we've got all these maps, this is a file, an external file that we have to put into the computer. And sometimes it can be pretty extensive, and it can really bog down the system. So I can push the button to advance the map, but it may take 5 to even sometimes 10 seconds, sounds like, right? So let's take a look at the fire tracker, and let me put the button now here, see if it'll advance. But you can see all the activity that we are seeing across the area, and the reds indicating the most recent activity that we have seen in western Siskiyou County. All right, now we're going to take a look at the root fire. Now, the root fire hasn't seen any recent activity. When we're looking at yellow dots here, and of course that's the squares basically, that's over 24 hours old. So we haven't seen any recent activity, but based on the latest and this is since yesterday morning, so most likely these numbers have changed. We'll probably get a new report for the root fire coming up here soon, but it's at 759 acres at about 45% containment, still about 9 miles from Mount Shasta. All right, now we're going to go ahead and take you to the Dillon fire, and this is the latest fire perimeter here. Now, we're probably going to see this spread westward because a lot of the activity has been on the northwest side of the fire. I was kind of reading some of the reports coming in from the Dillon fire, and indeed, that's where a lot of the activity has been. We're seeing that with the latest satellite detected activity as well. Red dots indicating 6 to 12 hours old. That's a bit of a flare-up that we did see last night on the west side of the fire, but you can also see the south side of the fire. Where we don't want to see the most growth is to the north side, and that certainly is the case there. As of last night, 9,763 acres. Now we take you out to the blue fire. This is the one that we saw that really flared up last night. So we're going to be looking at some of the satellite detected activity, and you'll probably see some of that red on the map. Still about 2 miles from Syed Valley, so that certainly is good news there that it hasn't grown any closer. We're at 2,452 acres as of a little after 9 o'clock last night. Now, there's been a lot of activity, and this is why, again, I think we're looking at that big flare-up that we saw last night. North side of the fire, we don't want to see that because now it's getting closer to Highway 96. But on the west side, a lot of activity there, even outside of the perimeter. So again, as we start getting in new data, we'll probably be looking at this side of the fire. We'll probably start to see that perimeter kind of grow to the west here. Again, at 2,452 acres, unfortunately still at the 0% containment. Now, this is a very rural area for the log fire. As of 11:10 yesterday morning, 971 acres was the latest report coming in there. Most likely it may be a little bit higher at 0% containment, and you can see some of the red that we do have on the map kind of on the south and east side of the fire. All right, now let's take you out to the Lick fire. We're not really seeing a whole lot of activity there. That's at 36 acres, 65% containment, and hasn't grown any closer to any of those mountain communities. Meanwhile, we take you out to the Peak fire. This has been on the face of a mountain here, and it's been basically growing northward, not northward, but uphill. Now it's on the summit, as you can clearly see there. At 4:52 yesterday afternoon, 506 acres, 21% containment. It hasn't grown any closer to Coffee Creek, Trinity Center, or Covington Mill. And when we look at the latest satellite detected activity, the main dot we were looking at yesterday was right here, and it was colored orange yesterday, meaning it was about 12 to 24 hours old. It's now the same dot that we're looking at here, but now it's just an older category, more than 24 hours old. So we haven't really seen any recent activity coming in from the Peak fire. The Cedar fire at 91 acres at 15% containment. As of yesterday evening, just shortly before 8 o'clock, and about 10 miles from Hayfork, and really haven't seen any recent activity coming out of that fire either. All right, now we're going to take you out to now the Big Cliff fire. Haven't seen any really recent reports. The latest report is coming out August 29th at about 1:03 p.m. So it's several days old, right, that we're looking at here, and 75% containment. So most likely these numbers are different, but this fire has reached a level where they just don't feel a need to give updates on it on a regular basis. All right, so now we're going to take a look at the smoke, and really the three main fires. We were looking at that on the satellite image, right, where we saw the flare-ups. It's the blue fire, the Dillon fire, the log fire. That's where we're seeing most of the smoke being produced. And really, for the most part, it's staying confined in those areas. Here we are today at 5 o'clock. It's spreading eastward, so Highway 96 along that whole area into Wairika could be looking at some pretty dense smoke at times later this afternoon and evening. It does spread a little bit more to the east and south, but kind of dissipates and spreads out, but still some smoke working its way into Mount Shasta later tonight and into early tomorrow morning. That then retreats, and then we see repeat that process again for your Saturday. The winds right now, a little gusty in El Tourist this morning, but otherwise the winds are fairly calm out there this morning. And we take you looking at the overall wind pattern, it's typical. Afternoon breezes and calm as we take you into the morning hours. A little breezy, a little concerning here for parts of the valley and even central Siskiyou County, but overall the winds, nothing major going on here. And that'll be the case here as we take you through the day on Sunday. Those winds picking up, but nothing alarming at this point. We take a look at the fire weather risk. Now, the good news is we're not really seeing a lot of orange on the map here for today, and even less so as we take you into your Saturday. So that's good to see that our fire weather risk is dropping, but as you know, even when we're in that moderate risk, we still can't let our guards down. We've got to be careful during the fire season all year round, all summer long. All right, let's take you back to some of these cameras out there this morning. And you can see this looking out at Lake Oroville, North Forebay, turning out to be a gorgeous shot out there this morning. Looks pretty nice. Take a look at Main Street Chico on Highway 32. Obviously not a scenic shot, but a shot to show those clouds sped up pretty quickly, or either that or it was a lag in the internet service. Probably a lag. But there you can see some of the traffic. Not a lot of traffic out there this morning, even on Highway 99 at Neal Road. We kind of see that, they get stopped at a red light, then a big surge of traffic comes in, the works. All right, so Sundial Bridge Drive on Highway 44. There you can see the traffic looking pretty good there. Looking at Bald Hill West. This is looking down at the Hoopa community and looks pretty nice there as well. Just a beautiful, one of the good things, if you want to put it that way, but the smoke can make for some gorgeous sunrises. That's at least the one good thing we can take out of it, right? Look at Mount Shasta, some clouds off in the distance. You can see some smoke off in the distance there as well. Turning out to be a gorgeous shot this morning in Soda Ridge. And Fort Jones, a little hazy, a little smoky out there this morning. Some of that smoke kind of getting sucked in there. A lot of times what happens is you can see that smoke kind of move in, but then as it cools off, that cooler air sinks down into those valleys like Fort Jones, for example, and that brings the smoke down along with it. We're going to take a look now at what it looks like at Elk Country, just north of Trinidad, and turning out to be a bit of a low clouds, at least out there this morning. And we saw this a little bit earlier, but we'll go ahead and take a look at it again here. And this is looking out at Crescent City, Harbor District. We've got the overcast skies, there may even be a bit of a drizzle, and it looks like we might even have George out there this morning. Haven't been able to check the comments, see if there's anybody commenting here this morning, because that's always fun when we got George. George is checking things out. Yeah, we got a couple checking in this morning. We got Curtis, Tracy, Jackie. Yeah, your computer's ready for the weekend, that's for sure. Although Chase has to use it over the weekend, so hopefully it does better. Jackie saying foggy in Trinidad again this morning, as we would expect. And once again, we take a look at the camera there in Elk Country, and you can see that, yes, indeed, it is a little overcast. It's a little foggy out there, but overall, turning out to be, nice, mild start to the day, if you will. All right, today is Friday. Yes, today's Friday, and we have got our pet of the week, and this week we are going to meet kind of an interesting name, Panda. And when you see Panda, you're going to see why he has that name. Check it out. Hello everyone, I'm meteorologist Mike Krueger, and you are watching Pet of the Week here in Weather NorCal. We got Katrina from the Beach Society, and this is Panda. Oh, look, she finally settled down for us. Kind of a nice little armrest for me too. So we've got a fairly active dog. He seems to have some energy, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
He's about 4.5 years old in a pit mix. He definitely has some energy, wants to get out, wants to run around and play. He's a super playful dog. He really likes toys. Super friendly with people, very outgoing. Like when you were walking up, he just ran right up to you and was so happy to greet you.
Yeah.
That's definitely Panda. He's actually been at the shelter for quite a while. He's been here about 130 days. So he's been kind of overlooked while here at the shelter, which is kind of wild because in his kennel, he's actually very quiet and well-mannered and not squeaking about like he is right now. So it's kind of wild that he's so overlooked because he does have a lot of manners. And he's just really friendly with people, and he's really friendly with other dogs as well.
And it has a very lovely bark too. Actually,
Very unique.
it's actually not that bad. I mean, a lot of times they're very intimidating and with that kind of high-pitched bark going on there. And you love treats. Apparently, that's good.
He's half squeaky toy.
What do you think would be a good home?
I think most homes would be fine for him. Just moderately active, one that's going to pay a lot of attention to him. I think he really wants a home that's going to spend time with him. I don't think he would be happy just being left alone for, super long periods of time. I think he wants people that are going to include him in activities, take him places, and really make him part of the family.
Well, that's the way it should be for any dog. I mean, I don't care if the dog is in particular like a needy dog. All dogs love to be a part of the family.
Exactly.
So that's a part of it. So I wish you nothing but the best of luck. 130 days. Listen, we love you all over there at Haven Humane Society, but 130 days. Come on, right? You want to go somewhere someone's forever home. So if you're interested in Panda or any other animal that is in Humane Society, call the number at the bottom of the screen and take care of you. Thank you so much, Katrina. Thank you, Panda, and good luck. See you next week. As always, good luck to Panda. I hope Panda can find that forever home. I apologize for that audio. 99 times out of 100, the microphone works when I plug it into the camera. It's that one time every once in a while that the camera just doesn't activate. And so it was going off of the microphone off of the camera, and we were kind of far away from it, so I kind of had to enhance the audio a little bit. But hopefully you're able to understand. But bottom line, we need to get a home for Panda, so be sure to call Haven Humane Society or go to their website. You can also check out at weathernorcal.com, click on Animal Family section, and you can watch that video. You can watch that video on the website. It'll also have the information. I will also be posting it later today on Facebook, so you can always have different ways to kind of check everything out with the animals. So once again, Haven Humane Society Pet of the Week. So glad we was able to get out there and meet Panda. Well, today is Friday. We're going to get into our deeper dive forecast here. And as you know, Coffee with Krueger is made possible by Wind River Resort and Casino. At Wind River Resort and Casino, enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. All right, so let's take a look at the satellite image here. And overall, what we've got here is low pressure here. Another one kind of spinning right here. A couple of things that I'm watching here as we go into the weekend, and that is today, some thunderstorm activity in Modoc County, possibly. Tonight, late tonight, Eastern Mountains, maybe some activity, and tomorrow, this right could bring maybe a chance for a shower or a thunderstorm in Trinity and western central Siskiyou County. But overall, we look at the water vapor imagery. We're not looking at a lot of moisture out there right now, not even a lot of dry slots even moving in, a little bit of that drier air moving into Southern California. But you can see some of the moisture, especially up to the north. We're drying things out over Northern California, and that's why our thunderstorm activity is just really kind of dying down here. So we look at the overall moisture content here as we take you into your afternoon. Fairly dry, but there may be just enough leftover moisture for parts of Modoc County to see that activity today. Then we go into your Saturday. We're not looking at a lot of moisture, although you can see a little bit of moisture out towards just north and west of the valley. That could certainly help to bring that potential I was talking about here for tomorrow afternoon in Trinity and Siskiyou County. Sunday, I think, will be that dry day for everyone before Monday. Yeah, things start to change and we start to see some changes in the overall pattern. But you can see the fog along the coast this morning. There may be some fog down to the south as well. I meant to check some of those cameras out there this morning to see if we're seeing any of that fog. Maybe we'll do that afterwards, or we could even do that now. Let's do that now. Let's see if there is any fog that has developed, because the forecast model has been picking up on that potential. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to go into, I know I've got it here somewhere. There it is. Let's just do this. Let's see if there's any fog down here. Yeah, it looks like a little bit of fog. So it looks like the forecast model has kind of picked up on that. Not necessarily down to the south here. No fog there either. All right, we're really not seeing much in the way of fog, if any. So there you go. That just kind of confirms that maybe the models may have overdone it, over projected. I don't know. It looks a little foggy, but yeah. Nothing to be concerned about. All right, anyway, let's take you back to the forecast model. This is now stopping at 3 p.m. today. So what you'll notice, look where the activity is. It's actually north and east of Modoc County. This model, the Futurecast, doesn't even want to show anything, right? But I do think, here's Highway 395. East of that is where we get that potential to see some activity here as we go through the afternoon. Now look at tonight. Tonight and early tomorrow morning. Looks like a little bit of a flow kind of coming in, a little bit of a disturbance. And this could squeeze out a stray shower, off chance for a thunderstorm late tonight. Maybe hear some rumbles of thunder off in the distance if you live in the mountains here to the east. Tomorrow morning, that's all pretty much done. You can see a little bit of activity kind of just once again touching eastern Modoc County. But then we focus our attention to the west here. So by midday, it's a dry day, right? We're actually seeing some clearing along the coast, it looks like in some areas too. But look at this. See this little disturbance right here. So western Siskiyou County, northern Trinity County, especially north of Highway 299. However, you see this. This right here is also a little bit of development. And there could be a stray shower or even a thunderstorm in there as well. 6 o'clock this afternoon, evening, western central Siskiyou County, northern Trinity County. And it is kind of hugging some of those foothills just west of the valley as well. And then that's out of here. That's Sunday morning. We actually see a bit of a break for everybody by Sunday morning. No rain on Sunday. But then by Monday, that's when things may start to change. Let's take a look at Futurecast here. Here's our longer range forecast model. This isn't as fine-tuned. And the forecast models, honestly, they have been all over the place with next week's rainfall, timing and intensity, all of that. So let's start with the fact that yesterday, it was looking like this on Sunday. Now we're going to hold off until Monday. Now look where the bulk of it is. This is your typical system that's mainly pushing through the Pacific Northwest and clipping Northern California. So that means the northwest side of the state, Modoc County, western Siskiyou, northern Humboldt. This general area here is seeing the bulk of the rain on Monday. That will then push eastward. It's not out of the question for as we go into late Monday afternoon, Monday evening, to see a chance for some showers and maybe some showers Tuesday. But you see how this on Wednesday, there's nothing being shown here by the forecast model, and then by Wednesday afternoon, maybe some activity. But the main area of low pressure you see as it dives down to the south here, now it's mainly going to be impacting the Sierra. And by Thursday, I think most of it's pretty much out of here. So precipitation outlook, yes, we got the chance for rain in the forecast, but normal rain for this time of the year is not that impressive. So when we can get a little bit of rainfall, that will most likely bring us above normal, and that's what this is showing. This is not showing that we're going to see a ton of rainfall, because we're not. But what it is showing is that we do at least have that chance for rain through at least the middle of next week, starting especially Monday. Now the cooler air, as you can see right here, this is going to dive down to the south. That's Sunday. This heat is retreating and moving down to the south and east. Now we take you into your Tuesday of next week. That cooler air is actually a little bit more to the north than we initially thought here. And then that cooler air kind of actually doesn't go up there. Actually, that's what the earlier forecast model was showing, but that should be down to the south. Now that should keep our temperatures down a bit, but as this kind of moves on out, temperatures will start to increase going through next week. So there's a look at your 10-day trend. You see how the temperatures are dropping. You know, we were thinking maybe even some upper 70s. Now it looks like more like low 80s, but hey, that's still very pleasant for this time of the year. And then we're back up in the low 90s by the time we get into that next weekend, but that's still below normal for this time of the year. Taking a look at our lake levels, we're at about just under 1,000 feet now elevation for Shasta Lake, and there you can see about 815 feet out towards Lake Oroville, but still over 100% for all of the lakes with that historical average. The wave heights are not going to be changing here for today or tomorrow, so no small corrected advisories are in the forecast, but there is going to be that patchy dense fog at times, so just be aware of that if you need to be on a small boat or fishing. West winds at about 5 knots, waves from the northwest at 2 feet at about 7 seconds, and from the northwest at 3 feet at 12 seconds. All right, let's take a look at our neighborhood forecast, sponsored in part by Dignity Health. We're going to be looking at temperatures starting to drop a little bit here, starting off with Trinity County here for today. You got temperatures in the low 90s today. Look at the 7-day forecast. There's that chance I was talking about on Saturday, and I would say that's mainly north of Highway 299. However, to the south of that, working its way southward in southern Trinity County, there may be a stray shower as well. Then as we go into next week, you can see by Monday, Tuesday, that's the best potential for thunderstorms that may linger on until Wednesday before we dry things out by the end of next week. 84 Miranda, 83 for Garberville, 66 degrees for Shelter Cove. All right, as we look closely here, you can see Monday, Tuesday, you've got some rain showers. I think the North Coast in general, inland and the coast, best chance for rain for you will be Monday and Tuesday, drying out by Wednesday. That's the same thing for Fortuna with Ferndale today at about 66, 68 degrees in Hydesville. Up north, 93 for Willow Creek, 67 degrees for Blue Lake and Hoopa, about 90. There's that chance for rain Monday, Tuesday, drying out Wednesday, Thursday. That's also the case for the coast, Crescent City. You'll be looking at those temperatures in the low 60s here and pretty much staying that way. Monday, Tuesday, that rain, drying out by Wednesday, Thursday. And here's your Dignity Health Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast. We're still getting pretty warm, mid-90s here for places like Side Valley, 99 for Horse Creek, 95 in Hornbrook, generally in the low 90s as you head south of that. Now, I got that chance in there, and I would say that it does include western and central Siskiyou County here for tomorrow. Scott Valley, you could see a stray shower, maybe an off chance for a thunderstorm tomorrow as well. Otherwise, today, temperatures upper 80s to low 90s for your daytime highs. Again, central Siskiyou County, maybe a chance for thunderstorms, but places like, say, Doris, Tule Lake, Tennant, I'd say your chances for thunderstorms tomorrow are going to be much slimmer, but by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that's the off and on chance for thunderstorms. Don't be alarmed by the amount of lightning strikes that you are seeing in the forecast, because this is not going to be a major thunderstorm outbreak, but we can certainly see that chance for some isolated thunderstorms. Now, Monday, I think you're still dry in Alturas and Modoc County in general. It's Tuesday, Wednesday that you'll see that chance for showers and thunderstorms drying out by Thursday. The eastern mountains out towards Boerne, I think you'll be dry through Monday as well. By Monday evening, Monday night, showers and possible thunderstorms by the time you go into Tuesday, Wednesday. For Lassen Park and Lake Elminor, today you're looking at temperatures around 80 degrees, give or take, around the lake, and temperatures in the 70s for Lassen Volcanic National Park. What we got here are dry conditions here even for Chester and Lassen Park through Monday. It's Tuesday and Wednesday, the better chances for thunderstorms that may linger into your Thursday of next week. Paradise, you'll be looking at dry conditions, although maybe Tuesday a chance for some showers. Wednesday, I think things will start to dry out. Now for Susanville, Tuesday, Wednesday, your best chances for thunderstorms. Any thunderstorms we see on Thursday will look at this point. I mean, we're going 7 days out, folks. This is all going to most likely change. But at this point, it looks like on Thursday, most of it will be in Plumas County. Here's your Dignity Health neighborhood forecast for the valley to the south. 89 degrees for Chico, 88 degrees for Durham, 89 out in Corning. And we've got about 89 degrees for Oroville. Let's take a look at that 7-day forecast for Chico. Temperatures dropping down. I mean, that's another thing to really talk about is the cooler temperatures. So I think your best chance in Chico will be Tuesday. Otherwise, I think you'll be dry. And I don't think we're going to see much in the way of accumulating rain for the valley. All right, let's take you up to the north. 93 for the city of Shasta Lake, 92 for Redding, 91 for Palisadro, 91 for Cottonwood, and 89 for Lakehead, as well as Whiskeytown. Red Bluff, I think it's going to be a kind of a Monday night into Tuesday that you could see a chance. That's also the case for Redding. Redding, if you see a chance, you could see some late afternoon, early evening. That's what it's looking like for now, and really has seen that over the last few days. But when we just look at the valley in general, I think the best chances do look to be on Tuesday. And then by the time we get into Wednesday, Thursday, that's all going to be kind of moving on out of here, at least for the valley. And then, of course, the better chances for showers and thunderstorms in the mountains. All right, that is going to do it for us today, folks. It's Friday. Yes, we're getting ready to get ready for the weekend. That is always nice. Let's check out some of your comments and get you up on the screen, folks, shall we? Just to kind of give you some credit. We got Curtis, the first to check in this morning about a half hour ago. Good morning, Mike. For our location in August, we had 3 days of 110 degrees and 13 days of over 100. Oh, yes. Oh, it looks like you kind of tracked the data. That's pretty cool. I always love to see that kind of stuff. Tracy Sackett saying good morning and happy Friday to you. We've got Jackie saying, yes, your computer is ready for the weekend. But Jackie also saying foggy in Trinidad again this morning, as we'd expect. There it is. Although it looks like it's beginning to show signs of, at least just north of you, Jackie, in Elk Country, I'm seeing some, it looks like trying to see some breaks in the clouds. Sometimes the camera has a hard time with that contrast there. But yeah, pretty cool. We've also got Krista this morning saying, morning, George. Yes, let's check to see if George is out there still this morning. Let's check it out. I'm going to go, before we do any of that, let's see if George is still out there. George isn't still out there. What a bummer. George took a, I'll kind of take this off here. We said good morning to George earlier. George was there earlier, but not necessarily now. That's a bummer. Oh well. It is what it is, folks. It is what it is. All right. We got one last comment here. Let's go ahead and say hi to Jeff Johnson this morning. He is saying, going to be great change in the weather finally. How will the weather be in Etna Saturday? Saturday, Jeff, I do think there is the potential for a stray shower or thunderstorm. That is not guaranteed. Not all forecast models are kind of picking up on that, but I'll be prepared for the fact. Maybe bring your umbrella. Be ready for it. Maybe a stray shower, maybe a stray thunderstorm as we go into your Saturday. So yeah, be prepared for that. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us today. So glad you could join us on this Friday. We're going to take a look at some of the cameras around the region here because, yeah, we've got so many great landscapes around here. It's always just a kind of a great way to kind of wrap things up here. There's a look at Mount Shasta on Soda Ridge. Have yourselves a great rest of your Friday, and be sure to check in with Chase Wilson over the weekend for the latest on this weekend's chances for rain and the latest on the forecast model data coming in with next week's chances for rain and thunderstorms. In the meantime, have a great rest of your day and a great weekend.
Thank you.